back to Caveman Cuisine. Today, it's lunch. So what we're going to be doing is pastelillos. Pastelillos is a pastry filled with different things. You can have cheese, meats. There's a variety depending on the region. You can have so many different things. But today, we're going to be doing the Puerto Rican style as far as traditional beef. We're also going to be doing a very popular cheese steak. We're going to do a vegetarian style that's going to be baked for you health conscious people. And also a dessert. Now, if you're diabetic, I don't recommend it. Trust me, this is going to be on the sweet level, real high. What it is going to be guava and cream cheese filled with a brown sugar glaze and then sprinkled with confectioner's sugar. Yeah, good stuff. First, let's start with the ingredients. Now, for your beef, you're going to have a variety of different things. Let's start with the seasoning. Most people know Puerto Ricans love adobo. That's right. It's our #1 go-to spice. We're not going to go crazy with it, but we're definitely going to use it today for the beef. The next thing, whole potatoes in a can. It's a real shortcut. Instead of getting fresh potatoes, cutting them up, buy the whole cans. Can comes in, you can get pre-sliced or whole. I like the whole because we can chop them up in chunks. Then you're going to have some peppers, onions. You're going to have some seasoning. Besides the adobo, which was our go-to seasoning, we're also going to have what we call sofrito. It's a mixture of different spices, different herbs and stuff that we throw into soups. We usually add it with meats and marinades. Trust me, it's going to be wonderful. You can find that in your grocery frozen food section. Look for the ethnic section. There's also what we call is achote. It's another additive that you can use. Use sofrito for this one. It's clearly marked and it's spelled the same way it sounds. Now, the #1 thing that all these dishes have in common are the discs. Now, these are basically the pastry shells. Now, if you're looking for them, they're not going to say pastelillo. Pastelillo is the way we prepare them, and that's why we call them that. It's a Puerto Rican thing. And most of the time you'll see them, they're called empanadas. Difference between the two? Well, it's the closing. Not so much the stuffing, because it's a variety. If you go South America, they stuff it the same way. So many different countries have a variety of stuffed pastry, whether it be meats or cheeses or whatever, or even desserts. Today, like I said, we're doing guava and cream cheese. But when we seal them, we press them down with a fork. The empanadas are traditionally rolled over, layered on top of them, so that it almost looks like a pie crust. That's the big difference, but you won't see that here. Today, it's going to use a fork press, and we're going to be baking and frying. Now, second one is going to be our cheese steak. Ingredients for that are real simple. It's going to be steak. Steakums #1 thing we pick for, so that's what we go for. Cheese, you can use cheddar, you can use American, you can use provolone, mozzarella, whatever you like. The other thing you're going to use, and it's up to you, if you like the Philly style, some green peppers, some onions. We're just going to do a little bit of seasoning, cheese and steak, and make it real simple. Now, next is our vegetarian. What we're going to be doing for our vegetarian is, we got onions, we got red, green, and yellow peppers, sweet peppers. We're going to also be throwing in some mushrooms, along with a little bit of garlic and our cheese. We're going to be using whole milk mozzarella. These are going to be mixed together pre-hand. We're going to show you how to do that. Then when we stuff them, we're going to brush them down with a little bit of butter and bake them. It's going to come out great. Okay guys, so first we're going to do is the beef. Now what you want to do is throw a little bit of butter in your pan. Not a lot because the meat itself is going to reduce down. It's an 80-20 mix as far as the beef. But the reason we're doing it is because we need to brown some of the potatoes. And here we go, we have the chopped up. Remember, this was a whole can of whole potatoes. Chopped up, little minced pieces. You're going to throw that right in. Next thing you're going to do, your peppers, and these are a variety of yellow, orange, and red. Next is your onions. Like I said, a little bit of butter will help because then it won't burn, stick to the bottom of the pan. And what we're going to do is we're just going to start letting these start to sweat. So that way they're nice and soft. But also we want to try to brown the potatoes as best we can without going too far. add our adobo seasoning. Now I know a lot of people ask why not just add the meat, then add the seasoning. I want it to be in, you know, to fuse it with the vegetables and the potatoes. It also will help with the browning as far as the potatoes have some seasoning on it. I didn't put a lot, just enough to get it going. Now we have our beef. Remember, this is an 80-20 blend. It's great. 80% beef, 20% fat. So it's lean to a degree. So take that, just drop that right in. Start breaking up the meat a little bit. What's also great about this is, say you don't use all the filling. Add some sauce to this. Throw it in with some pasta or maybe on top of rice, and you have a full dinner. Now to this, I'm also going to add some of the minced garlic. And also going to add a tablespoon of sofrito. This will just add to the taste tenfold. Keep stirring it. Make sure you want to brown it evenly. Now this is one of the few fillings that won't have cheese. The cheese steak, of course, because it says cheese steak. We're going to use whole milk mozzarella for the vegetarian one. And we're using cream cheese for the dessert. Now I remember my mom making these when we were kids. She'd actually do little mini ones so that there'd be more for us. You can do those. The difference is it's a smaller shop. And the ones we're doing today are the large. If you go to your supermarket, frozen section, you'll see them. They'll be the big 10-inch ones, and then they have the small ones which are about 7-inch. You can use either one. Today we're going to be using the small ones on the dessert, large ones on all the other ones. Now, as you guys can see, it's pretty much almost done. This has been not even 7 minutes, and you can see everything's been browning pretty well. The potatoes have got a nice golden color to them. The peppers and onions are sweated and nice and soft. So this filling is pretty much almost done. Now there's another seasoning I forgot to mention that was mixed in with the adobo, which is sazon. Sazon package you'll find in the supermarket. They're a wonderful additive for any soup, any marinade, pretty much any dish. But like adobo, it's one of our go-to seasonings. Alright, next. Now the beef and stuffing's done, so we'll put that aside. Now we're going to do the vegetarian. In the pot we added mushrooms, onions, red peppers, orange peppers, and yellow peppers. You can add anything you want to this as far as vegetarian. It's up to you. But what we're going to do is we're going to put that on the stove. And what we're going to do is we just want to, again, we want to get these vegetables to start sweating, start loosening up. Maybe brown the mushrooms a little bit more. Use a little bit of olive oil, not a lot, because we're going to be adding cheese in a little bit, so we don't want to overdo it. So this one's a real quick one. This is easy. Like I said, the difference between this and the others is we're going to be baking these. Now, the beef and the cheese steak, we're going to deep fry them. So it's completely up to you, but you can do them in the oven. Now, as you can see, all the peppers, the onions, and everything, they're coming out really nice. It smells wonderful. Now, in a few minutes, we're going to add the cheese, and then get them all melted in, and that stuffing will be ready to go. Now we've added the cheese, lowered the heat, and we see it all blend together real nicely. This stuffing is ready to go. Ooh, look at the steam coming up. And next is the cheesesteak. This one's really easy. You get your steak, pretty much let it defrost a little bit so it's easier to handle. Just drop it right into your pan. And I think we'll do one more. And that'll be enough. Now if you notice I didn't put any oil or grease or anything there, the oils from the steak themselves will be enough. But we are going to add a little bit of garlic. And we're going to add a little bit of adobo with the sazon. As you can see, the sazon's mixed in. Just a little bit. Now, since this is real soft, you'll be able to break it up real easy. Now you gotta remember, you're not making a cheesesteak hoagie. You're breaking it up, so you want the meat to be broken up, minced up, cooked thoroughly through. No pink, of course. Let it sit, let it do its job, let it heat up a little bit, because like I said, this is going to be really quick. Cheesesteak's cooking up pretty well. Put the steak on anyway. I'll add the cheese in a little bit. Now as you can see, there's a lot of grease building up. You want to drain that before you start adding your cheese. Only because, again, there's enough fatty oils in the cheese. You don't need to add more, especially from the grease from the steak itself. But this is smelling wonderful. You can smell the seasoning, the garlic, everything blending together really well. Next step, we're going to drain it. Okay, we just drained our excess oil. Now you just add your cheese. How much cheese you add is completely up to you. My kids love it cheesy. So I'm going to start mixing it, see how it looks. And I think what I'm going to do differently today is lower the heat just a little bit. I'm going to add some whole milk mozzarella to this as well. Mix it up a little bit, 2 different kinds of cheese. Trust me, they're not going to complain. And let's just empty the whole bag. There we go. Spread that around, let it melt in. Alright, with those fillings done, we're now going to work on the dessert. Guava comes in a couple different ways you can find it. You can find it in a can. You know what I'm saying? You'll see the Goya products are great. You can also find it in a long bar, which you can dice up. One of the things I like to do is get the can and be able to just use it as I need it. It preserves really well. What we're going to do is we're going to take, and I've already scored it, almost like a pizza. But we're going to take a portion of it, put it in our little Tupperware container, so that way we can add it and go across. Also, our cream cheese. Take a little bit of that. And now you just really have to put the muscle into it and break them up and start adding them together little by little, working it. Now a lot of people like to microwave it. Just nuke it for a little bit just to soften it up. Get it really creamy, easier to work with. Which in fact, I think I'm going to do. Give me 30 seconds. While that's doing that, we got the brown sugar. And we got our butter and our confectioned sugar. Sugar's going to go on top, just decorative more than anything. We're going to mix the brown sugar with the butter and brush that onto the pastelillo shell before we put it in the oven. Oven should be set at 350 degrees. Make sure you preheat your oven, so when you do lay your pastelillo shells down after you stuff them, just slide them in. You want to grease both sides of the pastelillo shell, not just one. Halfway through, you can flip them over so they're browned evenly and nicely. Well, our things are ready, so let's go get it. Now, 30 seconds. Look how much easier it is to work with. Mixes up really well. So definitely the better way to go is to nuke it just for 30 seconds. So it's manageable. And this is something you're going to spoon into the shell, just like we're going to do with all the other stuffings. Now that's ready. Let's get to stuffing these shells. Okay, now to start doing some stuffing, but there's a lot of things I got to do, so I decided to get some help from my daughters. This is Brianna. Brianna, tell them your name, your full name, and your age.
Hi, I'm Brianna Rosa Velez.
I don't think she's sure.
Old.
What's your name?
I'm Destiny Aliana Velez. I am 6 years old.
At least this one knows for sure. Alright, so like I said, usually when we do this show, we keep telling you do it for your significant other. Well, for some of you single fathers out there, the most important person in your life is your child. For me, I know my daughters are. They're right there, right up there with my wife. Maybe a little higher. Maybe a little higher. But every parent should put their child before their significant other, no matter if they're married or not. But regardless of that, we're going to start doing some stuffing. So now these girls have done this before, so they're going to look like experts. So I'm going to give the disc. Now, when you take your disc out of the package, it'll have a little plastic separation between each of the discs. What you want to do is make sure they're nice and loose. See how flexible this is? They've completely defrosted. That's going to make it easier for when we start stuffing. The other thing you want to have, a fork, so you can press the edges. Now, we have the cheesesteak, we have the guava, we have the ground beef, and we have the vegetarian. My guava is so good. Can't even tell you. Okay, back to what we're doing. Who wants to do what?
I want to do cheesesteak.
Okay, you do some cheesesteak. Which one you want to do?
I want to do
Well, why don't you do the beef?
Okay.
Alright, here we go.
Oops.
And I'll do some of the vegetarian. Okay, now it's real simple. You got your stuffing. Let me move this aside so you can see a little bit better. I'm going to do the beef. You have your shell down in the middle. Get a tablespoon or a teaspoon, whichever you want. And you want to lay your meat right down in the middle. How much you put is completely up to you, how generous you want to be. Just keep in mind, if you put too much, you're not going to be able to close it. So I've got my stuff in there. I'm going to roll over my shell. I'm going to peel back the plastic. And then with my fingers, as you can see, I'm pushed down along the edges, creating a seal. Next thing you want to do is take your fork, press down on the edge, and then slide outwards. Don't push down and then try to yank up because it's going to end up sticking. Press down and slide it right out. And just keep going around the edge. See how that is? And there you go. Next thing you're going to do is, if this was the vegetarian one, we would be brushing this with a little bit of butter on both sides. But this is the beef, it's going to be fried, so that's going to stay like that. Okay guys, get to it.
I think I should take this off.
No, leave it on, leave it on. Take a spoonful.
I don't want to get too much, but I'm going to put it in the middle there.
Yeah, you want to make sure that they like them big and fat. Don't make her believe that, you know, she's all health conscious now, because that's a lie.
I'm going to put as much as I can. I need to put more than that.
Yeah, a little bit more would be good.
Yeah, Brianna, you put 1,000 of them like that.
Brianna, that's way too much. Scoop some out.
At least I know how to do it. Right, Dad?
You both know how to do it. Brianna got a little crazy on the stuffing.
Is that good? Is that good?
Okay. Now let me show you what she did. She spread it out, but she didn't pile it up. It's got to be a little bit. You want to leave a little room around the edges.
Oh, okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now you can fold. That's great too. Now fold it over.
Fold it over.
Alright, push down and peel back the plastic. And with your fingers pushing on the edges. No, on the edges. Now see what she started to do, she started pushing right up against where the meat is. It's a pocket, so you want to make sure you just get around the edge itself.
Oh, okay.
Okay, now you take your fork, press down, and slide out. Push a little harder. You're good. There you go. Hold it there. There you go. Hold it. Brianna, you go. Okay. Let me show you what Brianna's doing. She's going in so far, she's about to puncture it. You only want to go around the edge. She's going so far in, she's about to put a hole in it. So when we go to fry this, it's going to spill out and be everywhere. So we don't want to do that. Just want to go around the edge. Destiny, you're doing the same thing she's doing. Just the edge, guys. Wow. Okay, just the edge. That's it. That's all you want to do is the edge. Now you did beef, right? Alright, so we're going to put beef over here. Now this is beef, so we're going to put that one over there. This one's a vegetarian, so we're going to put this over here. When you do more than one kind, you want to make sure you separate them. What we'll do is when we go to serve them, we'll have them on different color trays. And Brianna's still doing it, but she's trying her hardest. That's as far as you want to go. Right there, just it. Just a little bit. No, you got it.
I know, I was trying to move it in the middle so I can get this up.
There you go. Okay. Alright. What you're doing is you're raking. You want to make sure you press down so you crimp it. She's got cheese steaks, so we're going to put these right in the middle. Alright, let's do it again. It's already smooth. See, she knows. We got to be real flexible.
Full spoon. Then you have to put it right here. Make
A little bit more.
Then you put a little bit more on to make very sure.
Alright, make sure it's close. Not real close to the edge. Okay, now put the spoon back.
Put the spoon back.
Fold it over.
And then you fold it over like this.
Press your edges.
Press the others. Then you gotta press the edges.
Just the edges, not your whole thing.
Yeah. Not
Peel back the plastic.
Then peel. Then peel. Then peel back the basket.
Get your fork.
Then get your spork.
Spork?
That's what we call it at school.
It's a fork.
Back it down.
That's fine. Go, keep going.
Someone's here.
Turn it.
I was just being nilly. I said nilly. No. Was I doing it better?
Yeah. And there you go. That's how one's done. And as you guys can see, we're all done. My girls did a great job. We have an assortment. This is the beef. Here we have the cheese steak. These two will be fried. Then we have the vegetarian and the guava. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to butter these. And then we're also going to put the brown sugar and butter mixture on top of these. Okay, now the pastelillos, as far as the dessert ones and the vegetarian ones, are in the oven. They're going to take about 10 to 15 minutes. In between, we'll open the oven, we'll flip them, make sure they have a golden crust on both sides. In the meantime, what you do to test the oil, make sure it's nice and hot. take a little bit of the crust from the shell, drop it in. Once that starts frying, then you know your oil is hot enough for the rest to go in. Again, we keep this plastic on so it's easy to separate them. And just slide them right in. Now if you're not comfortable frying, then just set it at a low temperature. It'll take longer, but you got to just be mindful of it. Now this is something that I do. I slide them right in. Make sure they're good cooked. And then what I'll do is I'll move the pan around so the oil floats over top of the other ones. The hotter the oil gets, the faster this will go. Everything's already pre-cooked inside, so it's just a matter of cooking the shells till they're golden brown. Now with these, you'll see it's a dark orange in the middle. Start becoming a light golden color on the outside. That's when you know it's time to flip them. You don't want to overcook them because they'll burn really fast and they'll get black. Now over here on the side, I have my colander with some Scott towels already in there. Catch some of the oil when they drip. Now these are cooking up pretty fast. Like I said, I like just moving the pan a little bit so the oil washes over the top. Now that's a golden brown. She's ready to get put into the colander. Now remember how I told you how important it is to seal. If you can see this one of the girls didn't press down a little too hard. So it's open, but that's okay. We're going to drain it up pretty well. Got more oil in there than we really wanted. Beautiful golden color. And you just keep doing this till all your pastelillos are done. Now notice, as hot as it is, it's not bubbling and crackling and everything, because I'm just sliding them in. You don't want to drop them in, you spoil, basically you're going to spill all over the place and on yourselves. You can get pretty much the first, second, third degree burn depending on how hot that oil is. I'm going to slide one more in there. Again, you just want to move the oil around so it coats both sides pretty much. Speeds up the process. Okay, now remember what I was telling you about as far as the difference in the color. See the orange? Outside, now you know it's time to flip them. See how that's a nice golden? I'll do the same thing over here. It's a nice golden color. Get that little one flipped over. There we go. This one moved over. See? Beautiful golden color all the way around. Now the beef ones are pretty much done. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to start on the cheesesteak. Same process as before. Just slide them right in. Now these are going to cook even faster than the first set because again the oil is hot. Just be mindful of them. Now these are all the beef ones. So what we're going to do is we're going to transfer these over to a covered red tray. Take a look. Yeah, those are good, aren't they? I'm going to put those aside. We'll use the orange ones for the cheese steaks. Now, if you don't have color trays, anything will do. Just keep track of just however you want to remember them. It's a lot easier that way. Now, in the meantime, I'm going to switch out this Scott towels that drain the oil off. We'll put some fresh ones on. Try to drain as much as you can. No reason to be excessive. I'm going to throw a couple more in there. Now, if you're a parent, you know how hard it is to get your kids to be quiet, let alone just plain out shut up. So I'm going to pretend that my kids aren't making noise or laughing. Because if you guys watched the first episode, there was so much noise in this house. You would swear there was a daycare center in every part of the room. But for the most part, they've been really quiet, haven't they? Yeah, so we're going to give them props this time. Not sure they deserve it, but they're going to get it. Now while this is frying, we're going to take a look at the ones in the oven. Oh, they're looking really good. You can actually smell them. So good. Got a nice color to them. These red ones are looking good too. I'll flip some of these over. Look, they're so tender I can flip them over my fingers. Nice golden color on these already. You know what, we're going to leave them in for a little bit longer before I flip the rest. The cheese steaks, so now they've been drained for a little bit, we're going to transfer them over to the non-strain. Now, sometimes presentation doesn't matter because, you know what? I know when I put these down on the table, they're going to disappear faster than it took me to lay them down. So by the time I turn around, they'll be gone. But you always want to make it impressive, as you can see. Now, next thing to do is get the other ones out the oven. For those, we're going to put the vegetable ones on the yellow tray. Oh, you guys just don't understand. Now, it's a me, it's 2012. We should have smell-o-vision by now, right? And flying cars? I don't know. But these are freaking beautiful. Now they have a different look than the other ones because the other ones are fried. You can bake. But they still have a beautiful golden crust. And they smell incredible. So now you have your vegetarian, your cheese steak, your classic Puerto Rican beef, and And the creme de la creme, the dessert ones. I'm just going to shut the oven off. Move this aside. I know you were like, well, you have another orange one. That's okay. We're just going to lay down some Scott towels. That way we can tell the difference. Now don't forget, there's one more thing we have to do to these. Now these are nice. They got a little sticky taste to them, or a little feel to them. You can taste it. Wow, you can smell the brown sugar. It's ridiculous. Now you can serve these hot, and you can serve them cold as well. So, I mean, it's completely up to you. As thick as my hands are, I'm still like, you know, being very careful about it. Take this pan, move it over. If you have non-stick trays like that, that's great. If not, use aluminum foil like I did. It's an easy cleanup. And I'll take these over, add the confectioner's sugar. Now, if you have a little sifter, that's great. I don't, but I have a colander that's very close to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just sprinkle this over. And just shake this on top of them. A little winter wonderland thing going on. And don't be cheap. People love this stuff. Now my kids love powdered donuts, so this is going to be the next best thing for them. Yeah, I ain't stopping. Don't take it in. I'm going to put the whole rest in there. Keep on shaking. Shake it, 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 shake it. It's the only white powder I love, baby. Drug free. There we go. You hear the cheering? Yummy. Yummy. It's good. See? Good. Alright, clean up some of this mess. Now the proof is in the pudding. Let's serve these kids, see what they think. Okay, well, now it's time to dig in. What kind did you get, Des?
Cheese steak.
What kind did you get?
Cheese steak.
Alright. I don't know what kind I'm going to have, but I'm going to let them enjoy this. The only reason you still see this here is because I told them to hold off. Plus those that are in the background that you don't see that are ready to attack. But thanks for tuning in. Next episode, we're going to be doing the $10 Dollar Store Challenge. And if you want to know what that is, just tune in and we'll check it out. Thanks again. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Say bye.
Bye.
Dig in.
Yummy.